The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments.
And I do think that it's out of an exasperation.
Of course, President Joe Biden, former President Donald Trump, Vice President Kamala Harris, and Governor J.B. Pritzker reacting to a joke about a island being an island of garbage that was made during a Trump rally, and then President Joe Biden reacting to that and everybody else's reaction thereafter. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. We touched on this yesterday after reaction from Governor J.B. Pritzker and even former President Donald Trump and the comments that President Biden made. But I wanted to kind of reverse back to Monday after Sunday's Madison Square Garden rally in New York, where Donald Trump had a rally. Way before he came on, Tony Hinchcliffe, a roast comedian, made a joke about, it's crazy, the environment. There's this big island of garbage out in the middle of the ocean. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Got a lot of in the crowd, but obviously he's a roast comedian, and the joke really had a leg of its own. With media calling it racist and so on. Governor J.B. Pritzker on Monday reacting to some of those headlines.
It was a shameful show of what the Republican Party has become and what Donald Trump represents. And we saw racism, sexism over and over again by speakers for a couple of hours, and of course directly by Donald Trump.
And again, you have President Joe Biden making these comments.
As I know, or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Tina is unconscionable, and it's un-American. It's totally contrary to everything we've done.
So Biden making those comments Tuesday, that was just before former President Donald Trump took the stage, and he was notified about those comments.
That's terrible. That's what it says. That's what it says. So you have... Remember Hillary, she said deplorable, and then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable, that didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse, right? But he doesn't know, you have to please forgive him. Please forgive him, for he not knoweth what he said.
So again, Trump seeming to be the ultimate stage man. He was able to kind of take it in a different direction. But again, that was Tuesday night after Biden's Tuesday evening comments. Yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker back in front of cameras here in Illinois, up in Chicago, and he was asked about these comments, in particular about half of the country who supports Donald Trump being garbage.
Look, I don't think that it was meant in the way that some people have taken it, and I do think that it's out of an exasperation that there are so many people who, for example, spoke person after person at Madison Square Garden expressing thoughts of hate openly and seemingly proudly. And I think it's an exasperation with what's going on with some people in the country.
Vice President Kamala Harris, the Democratic nominee for taking on former President Donald Trump, she was asked later in the day about the comments that Biden made. Here's the Associated Press video.
Listen, I think that, first of all, he clarified his comments, but let me be clear, I strongly disagree with any criticism of people based on who they vote for.
So Harris obviously, distancing herself from Biden's comments, even though Biden did come back on X and social media and say that he meant to say that it was the joke that was garbage, not Trump's supporters. And then there's a lot of conflict about the transcript that the White House put out about that quote. And people saying that it's been altered. Who knows? Obviously, that'll come out in the wash. But when Governor Pritzker was in front of cameras, he was asked about the Biden reference to, Trump supporters being garbage. But he was also asked if it's appropriate to label Trump as a fascist.
And do you feel it's appropriate for Vice President Harris to make her final argument about fascism?
appropriate?
Not appropriate, but do you think it's smart idea? Is it political?
Look, I think there are a lot of people who are motivated. I think if you look at the polling data on what's motivating people to show up at the polls, one of the top issues is the threat to democracy. So, addressing one of the top issues on people's minds is not inappropriate. I think there are other things that are also on people's minds, and I've often said this, as somebody who's, been a national advocate for abortion rights and someone who has fought against hate, I can say people don't show up at the polls with one issue in mind. They have a lot of things on their minds. Some may be more important than others. So I think trying to address the concerns of a lot of people in a final argument, and by the way, there's 6 days left, and so there's an opportunity, I think, to express lots of other things over the course of the next 6 days. But I think that democracy is, it'd be hard-pressed to find somebody in this room or around the state or the nation who doesn't have that on their list of concerns. And so I'm glad that she's talking about it.
So he says it's not inappropriate for the Democrats to use fascism, anti-fascism, as a argument heading into the final stretch here before the election. But former President Donald Trump, again, in true showman fashion, got off his plane and then jumped into a garbage truck with Trump written on the side of it yesterday before heading to a rally.
How do you like my garbage truck? This truck is in honor of Kamala and Joe Biden. And I think 250 million people in this country are going to be very happy because we're going to bring the country back. We're a nation in decline, very, very serious decline, and we're going to bring our country back.
So Trump making a show of it. Again, he told the supporters to forgive Joe Biden. Biden knows not what he does. He gets into a garbage truck, does some what people realize and characterize as trolling. And then he gets on stage wearing that vest, not his traditional, suit jacket. No, wearing a emergency responders vest that you typically see people working in a dump truck wearing. And this is what he had to say at that rally in Wisconsin where he got the endorsement of Brett Favre.
250 million Americans are not garbage. This week, Kamala has been comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. And now, speaking on a call for her campaign last night, crooked Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. No way. No way. And they actually mean it, even though without question, my supporters are far higher quality than Crooked Joe or Lion Kamala. Higher quality. My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. That's true. You can't be president if you hate the American people, which I believe they do. And Kamala Harris is not fit to be president of the United States. In no way is she fit.
Pretty fascinating times, and here we are with, 5 days before the election? Whoa. What could possibly happen between now and then? Of course, it is Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell with America's Talking Network. Get the live show each and every weekday morning. Get the podcast uninterrupted where you get podcasts, and join us as we break down what you need to know to get your day going here with Illinois in Focus Daily.